Hi, friends. Are you wondering where to live in Dallas, Texas? Well, you've landed on the right channel because we are here to spill the Texas tea on the lifestyle and homes in the Big D. And today we are talking about Plano, Texas. At the moment, I am at the Tommy Bahama, sitting outside in a beautiful day, a little windy, but beautiful, with a beautiful water feature behind me, and I'm in Legacy West. This is like one of the most recent shopping areas built out in Plano, right along the tollway. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about kind of like the pros and cons of living in Plano, Texas. What you can expect, because with every con, there's a flip side, there's a pro. You can't have everything. No place has everything at the same time. And I wanted to talk to you about Plano because, well, for 20 years, I lived in far north Dallas and right at the edge. I just recently moved away, but the edge of Plano, and I raised both of my daughters going to Plano ISD. So I know a good bit about the school district. So one of the big cons, I always start with the negative, bad news first, is the high cost of living in Plano, Texas. It has gotten very expensive. Always been kind of expensive, but it's probably more so now than it used to be. It's even more expensive than some of the neighboring areas. The average income is a little over $100,000 per household, and the average or the median price for a new home is about $510,000. For a lot of people, that means a two-income family for sure. Not for everybody, but for a lot of people. But on the pro side of it being overall a higher income area, you do get a lot of nicer build out, a lot of nicer shopping and restaurants and schools. And so, it's still a really great community, and it's not as expensive as living in Dallas. So it's actually been a really great place to live. I think that it's used to be more expensive in terms of housing than Frisco, but that has kind of switched around. So the pros, you get really good value. And I wanted to talk to you here about, yes, it's expensive, but I wanted to talk to you about the schools. And the schools, to start with, you do have some private school options here. You've got Prestonwood Academy, some Catholic private schools. You have Trinity Christian. It's down in Addison, but it's not too far. And in terms of public schools, in Plano ISD, they actually split. Instead of having 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grades all together, the 9th and 10th graders go to school together, and that's called high school. And there are 6 of those, and then the 11th and 12th graders go to school together, and that's called a senior high. And there's 4 of those, so there's 10 altogether, plus there's an alternative Plano ISD Academy School, which is 9th through 12th grade, and the kids kind of need to make a decision that they're going to go do that. You have to do the research in about 8th grade. One of the interesting things about public schools is actually one family decided to put their house on the market in East Plano to move to West Plano so that the kids would go to Plano West Senior High and be part of the robotics team. So there are really some specialized opportunities for the kids. They can do a lot of AP courses, things like that. The next con is the traffic. There is a lot of traffic here. I really don't think it's as bad as a lot of places in terms of traffic. And honestly, when you live in this area, most people kind of stick to what's within 2, 3, 5 miles around them, and that's where they go. But if you do work downtown, that's going to be a bit of a drive, and all around the roads are congested for sure between about 7 and 9 a.m. and then again between 4 and 6 p.m. So you might want to keep that into account for your planning as you're planning your days. Some people stagger. They go into work early and come home early, or they go in later and come home later. Definitely traffic. But Plano is very centrally located, and that is why it's even brought in major corporations. So you're going to find yourself 20 miles from downtown. That's about 20 to 25 minutes. To go north up to the Star in Frisco, it's about 12 miles. Again, about 20 minutes or maybe 15. To go to Fort Worth, it's going to be about 40 miles, and it's going to take about 45 to 55 minutes. And to get to the airport, it's about 22 miles. It's going to take you about 25 to 30 minutes to get to the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. And if you want to go catch a Cowboys game, yes, they practice at the Star in Frisco, but if you want to go see a Cowboys game in Arlington, that's going to be about 40 miles, and it's going to take about 45, 55 minutes to get there. So, and you're going to want a toll tag. So you're gonna have to, that's another hidden expense, is you're gonna want a toll tag if you live in Plano, especially on the west side along the Dallas North Tollway. Okay, the next con is the taxes are high here and getting higher, and but they're high all over DFW. So you do have to keep that in mind, that you're gonna pay a lot for taxes. But on the upside from that, one of the things you're paying in taxes, you're paying Collin County taxes. That helps support Collin County Community College. They have some 2-year programs there, and actually they have really excellent teachers. They get a lot of very well educated people in their field that are just teaching a few classes. So you're going to find really, I mean, as good of teachers as you'll find most anywhere at Collin College. At least that's been my experience. Also with the taxes, we've got some really pretty parks that you can go check out. I really love Arbor Hills, to walk around there. I have a lot of good memories walking around there, taking pictures there. It looks different every season, and always see photographers out there. But it's just a nice relaxing walk. A lot of dogs there. There's also Oak Point to go walking at, and there's other parks, and even in downtown Plano, there's Haggard Park that is right next to the museum. It's in the little downtown area. There's some festivals down there sometimes, and it's cute. It's got like a little gazebo, and it could be a photo op if you want to do photos there. But the parks are nice in Plano. Some people feel like it's a little bit cookie cutter, a little bit like just plain, like it's a plain, because of the corporate presence here and the way everything's been set out, that it just seems a little bit corporate in Plano. But the reality is that, you know, the city's been well planned. It's very well laid out, and it's clean, it's stabilized, and I mean, that adds to the community. We've got 120,000 households here, and it's a lot of people. And actually, when I moved here in 2001, there were about 222,000 people, and now there's just about 300,000. So really, it was already a lot built out, but not completely. And you can still enjoy some of the old city, the old part of Plano kind of charm when you go downtown to the park, to the little railroad museum down there. Another very historical kind of thing you can go do is you can go to the Heritage Farmstead Museum, and it's a historical working farm on about 4 acres with some different, you know, buildings. The house was built in 1891, and that's a great place to take kids. A lot of the schools do field trips there. They have little animals, pretty buildings, and if you know, move here with kids, go down there and check it out and get a little bit of the history of Plano and what the early settlers faced and how they lived. And by the way, it would really help us out if you would subscribe to our channel. That helps us keep you bringing content from the Where to Live in Dallas team. I would really greatly appreciate that. And also, if you ring the bell, then you'll get notified when we have new content. You know, I think that in terms of when I'm putting these videos together, I think, you know, hey, what would I have wanted to know before I lived here? And I'm trying to bring you that and help you, educate you, because sometimes I get calls of, you know, look, I want a 2 acres in Frisco for $700,000, and I can't deliver on that. So I have to, I got to educate people about what is actually available, because I can't come up with that if it's not available. So I'm trying to make these videos so you kind of get a feel for what it's like in these different cities within the Metroplex. There's a little bit of blending together when you drive. Like if you didn't happen to catch the sign that says you're entering one place and leaving another, you might not even know. So go ahead and subscribe and reach out to us to help you identify, you know, and what it is that you're looking for exactly. My team and I is always happy to help you. Our information is pinned at the top of the chat, and it's in the description. We're happy to set up a Zoom, give us a call, send us a text or an email, and we will look forward to speaking to you. But back to our pros and cons here. The next one is there is limited nightlife in Plano, Texas. However, I will say, you know, here I am in Legacy West, and since that's opened, you know, like the kids can come down here and there's a big food court. They can all pick out their own food and eat, kind of just walk around. And, you know, there is a little bit to do to keep the kids kind of occupied. Well, and also adults. I guess adults for like date nights, it's restaurants, guys. Like we have 170 restaurants for 120,000 households. So, you know, that's a lot of restaurants. Like if you don't like one kind of food, you're going to find something else. And I mean, it's so multicultural here. Like in the schools, I think when we moved here, they had something like 32 languages, and now it's over 50 languages. And over 40% of people in Plano, I believe they speak their like a different language at home. There's so much diversity, and where that, you know, how that manifests is that there's like diversity in restaurants too. So you get to try, if you're a foodie and you like cuisine, I mean, Plano has got it going on. And most of those places are family friendly. You can take your kids. It's just that kind of vibe. I mean, it's the place that the ladies lunch and you go to brunch and you go to a nice date night, and we have beautiful, wonderful restaurants. So a lot of congregating with friends and family happens at the restaurants. And another thing a lot of people do is like, the parks are great. They go to the parks, they go for walks, get outside, go to some sporting events. So there's plenty to do, but if you're wanting to stay up really late into the night, this is not, I mean, you're going to have to do that at home. It's just not a lot of places open that I know of. Another con, potentially, unless you like the time period, is that the houses were built out in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. So if you like that time period, you are in luck. But if you want something that is brand new, the brand new construction in Plano is going to be things like little pockets of areas where they've done some tear down, or there was a little piece of land left. Townhomes are going up, and those will be new. But what you see more of is newer buildings. And also going across Plano, if you're in East Plano, those houses are a lot older. That's on the east side of 75. If you're in Central Plano, you're really looking at a lot of 80s. And then if you're in West Plano, a lot of that stuff happened in the 90s, and there are some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful houses in West Plano. And they may be 1990s, but they may be very classic also. So don't discount those houses. They're just not going to look like some of the new construction you're seeing up north. So the pro to those older established houses is that you're going to have mature trees, an established neighborhood. You're going to have, we're not going to be bringing in more schools and more taxes for more schools. In fact, they're kind of tapering off on the schools. They're cutting back. 2 elementaries closed in Plano last year. And I didn't quite give you all the numbers on the schools. 11 high schools, 11 middle schools, 48 elementaries, although 2 are closing this year. So that's because of the population is getting a little bit older, and it's pretty filled in. So not a lot of more. There are people selling their houses and younger families moving in, but not like the kind of young families that were here in 1985, 1995, even 2005. So another con is the rapid growth in the last few years has increased density in some of the areas of dense living. But some of that dense living is areas like this, like Legacy West. It is mixed use. There are businesses. Boeing has a big building very, very close for me, a stone's throw for me. And then there are apartments on top of the shopping areas. And this is mixed use area. So some of these condos, the shopping area, very high end of Plano, very nice. There's just been some fill in, just like a lot. That's a lot of how the Texas growth goes, is the houses and then a little bit of fill in, starts, apartments. Although we're seeing up north, we're already seeing apartments before all the houses are really in. So they're high-end apartments. But that growth is part of what brings all the diversity, and is also part of what's bringing and attracting all these businesses. So another con is you're not going to have really big lots so much in Plano. You're going to have pretty small lots. A lot of them do have a big enough space to have a pool. They don't already have a pool. But, while you can't really very often get a big lot, and that's relative, big lot, I'm saying it's like an acre. You're going to see more quarter acre kind of lots, or a little bit less than that. But with the denser living, like you're getting all the restaurants, you're getting the great schools, you're getting all the services in the schools for the kids, the opportunities that they have. So there's a trade-off there, and you're getting access to the lakes and all that kind of thing. So with denser living, you may not have great big backyard. I know Texas has a lot of land, and People think everything is bigger in Texas, and it is to a degree, except that, in a city area, the land is more expensive. And so the builders have to be efficient with the use of that land to be able to sell their houses. And so they try to consider how to get the most house and the most on the land. So another thing you see is that 1-stories are usually older houses or smaller houses in this area. To get more square footage, the builders go 2 stories on the lot. And I can tell you how I know this because I've been in residential development since 2000, from the ground up, from preparing the land to building. We built townhomes and houses, and the first floor is much more expensive to build because there's foundation and there's land, and the second floor is not as expensive. And so that's how you can get more house in this area, is by having a 2-story. And a lot of people like a 2-story. I mean, you've got the taller ceilings, you can have the kids have their area upstairs. There are a lot of advantages to a 2-story home. Part of it is just the practicality of the lots and how many lots can you fit in a development and building to the second story. So another con could be, and I did see this with my girls going to school, is there's a lot of competition. Like, think about, you've got all these elementary schools pouring into middle schools, into fewer high schools. And so say your kid loves basketball or whatever. Well, there's only going to be an A and B team, and not every kid that wants to play is going to get to play. So there's a lot of competition there. Also with academics, the flip side of that is, like, for the academics in particular, like my oldest daughter, had some kids in class just, hey, I guess kind of talking smack about doing well on tests. And anyway, so she really got motivated to do really awesome on her standardized test. She did well, and I don't know if that would have happened in a small town or not, because who knows, but for her, that competition kind of spurred her on, and that can be a good thing. And also, we're right here in all this corporate area and all these professionals, and so the kids get tied in just from knowing kids at school and their parents do this or that, and they learn about that if they're a little bit curious. So I think that kind of rubs off on the kids and can help them to be successful. There's also a lot of club sports. There are professional athletes that have made a career out of coaching, and that a lot of people that's like a huge budget item on their budget every year, is club sports. So there's a lot of enrichment, things like that you can do for your kids. And quite a few kids are doing those extra things. I think some of the kids don't have a lot of free time, but that might be good because they can find trouble in their free time too. So anyway, those are some of the pros and cons. And hey, remember, don't delay. Call Janée. Give me a call. Let me know what you're looking for in this area, and I can help, figure out the locations, if we get it down to a few, or a location where it's going to be a good fit for you. There's no one size fits all for anybody. We got to look at your circumstances, and I would love to help you do that. And thank you for taking the time to watch our video. Texas isn't just a place, it's a promise. Texas opens doors to opportunities. It's big land and bold living. And whether it's city lights or country nights, Texas has it all. No state income tax, a booming economy, strong values, strong families. Your future starts here. Buy bold, live free, and own Texas. Your only decision is where to live in Texas. Whether you savor wide open skies or skyline views, our team in Dallas and trusted partners across Texas are here to guide you every step of the way. To be a part of Texas tomorrow, call today. Don't delay. Call Janée.